Hey guys, welcome back. James here, Carolina Forge. It's part 2 of the press build. If you're watching this part, then I'm assuming you've seen part 1. You've already seen me build the stand, so we're just going to get right into it. What we got here is just a log splitter. Alright, what we got here is just a basic log splitter. It's got the wedge still on it, still got the shroud, a collar around there to protect everything from this point here. It's like a deflector. This piece here, spacer, this is what rides your slide plate right here. Your valve over here for up and down. All this stuff's got to come off of here. But first thing I want to do, I just want to fire this thing up, kind of show you the speed it runs at with the gas motor. It's just not super fast, but it's already a whole lot faster than pumping one by hand, and it's already going to, it'll definitely speed up production, because one of those presses right there is 22 ton each time it presses. So up, down, up, down. If I'm doing hammer or something big steel, it stays hot for a good amount of time. So that's actually moving plenty quick enough for me to do hammers in. So that's what is so awesome about a press. All right, so for what we got to strip off here for now, so we can get to where we want to be. This piston has to come off the hydraulic cylinder, which is going to include having to take apart a lot of other things. So to start with, we got to take this shroud off. There's 2 bolts here and 2 bolts in the back. You unbolt that. These come off in 2 pieces. This is going to be actually good steel too, so it's something else, because I'm not going to need this anymore. But take the shroud off, then we can take this bolt. So we'll take the shroud off. And then after the shroud comes off, there's a bolt inside here. Take that bolt out, and that frees the piston up from this. And at that point, this whole plate should slide down. So we can take that bolt out, slide this down, get it out of our way. Once the shroud's off and that plate's disconnected, we can take this line loose from the valve, tape it. I recommend covering it with a plastic bag, Ziploc bag of some sort, taping it, sealing it off. Don't let anything get in there. And same with the fittings on the valve. Cover those as well after you take it apart. Don't let any dirt get in there, because you don't want anything getting inside that cylinder and screwing your cylinder up. So we got to take these lines off, and we're going to leave the valve attached to the piston, because I don't want to disconnect this, and that up there, because you'd have that fitting to take off, that fitting right there to take off. Don't want to mess with that. So we'll take all that loose, and then it's just simple as pulling this pin out right here, and then we'll take the piston off, set it to the side. That'll free up this beam, and that's what we want to get to first, is that beam. We'll get it on the stand. So let's get started. Shroud's off. Now we can get to this bolt right here. Alright, this part you need some baggies. I got 1 gallon size bag to go over this valve, and I've got 2 smaller ones to fit right over the ends of these 2 lines. Okay, and some duct tape. Make sure your ram is all the way in whenever you do this, and that with it coming all the way in, it's all the pressure's off of these lines. You don't want any pressure on these lines. It's going to spray fluid at you. I've already cracked it loose here. It's already got some fluid coming out. Probably gonna lose a little bit, but it's okay. Take this. I'm just gonna do it just like that. All right, our piston's free. Now I just got to take this pin out of the top here, and I think I'm gonna get my wife to assist me. Pull that pin. We'll have the piston off there. You got to take your keys off. You got one on each side. Okay, they're off. Now all I got to do is support this. My wife's gonna come over here and she's gonna pull that pin right out of there, and the piston will be free. So reach up here when I tell you.
Just pull it out?
Yep, go ahead. All right, the piston's off. They're not light, folks, so be ready when you grab a hold of this thing. Okay, now we got to take our guide plate off. You only got to really undo one side of it, because once you get it off, it just comes right off. Once you get this side off, it'll just slip right to that side. So these 3 bolts is all you should have to worry about. And we got to keep this, we're going to have to modify it. Alright, now we got to cut this off of here. Get rid of this piece. Fabricate another piece that mounts to this that's for our top press die. Now we got to take these cotter pins, straighten them out. Don't need that cotter pin anymore, so. Be ready to stabilize this thing whenever that pins are coming out, because once you take that pin out, there ain't nothing holding this thing anymore. Okay? what I mean? Nothing's holding. She's free. Now, we gotta get this heavy bastard up on that stand over there, so come with me. I think probably weighs 200 pounds or better, I'd say. Don't try this at home, folks. Line up where our marks. Alright guys, she's up there. Pretty tall. She's about 8.5 feet tall. Got it set up there just now. I haven't welded or anything. So that is my next step, is to weld this stand, the plate that's on here, to the beam. So we're going to come in here and we're going to put a bunch of weld in here all the way around this. And then that plate is bolted onto here. That way if I ever have to remove this thing and take it off, I ain't got to cut welds and that crap. Just take these bolts out. They're through bolted all the way through. So get this cleaned up and weld the stand up on there, or weld the beam on there. Before I start welding this now, I need to take my torch and preheat this. This is a thick block of steel and I need some penetration. So we're going to light the torch. We're just going to run around right here preheating where we're going to be welding that way, get good penetration. Much better. So, like I said, I got this big chunk, 1.25 inch, 6 inch square. I'm going to take this out to the forge and preheat this thing and bring it up to 400 or 500 degrees or so. Get it good and hot because I want a lot of penetration on this thing. So the hotter I get this before I weld, the deeper I'm going to get into it because it's going to have a lot of force on it. And we're going to really lay some welds into this thing. So let me take this out to the forge. We're going to lay it in there, just preheat it a little bit. I'm going to bring it back, set it right on that. Preheated. Let's get this on there. Lined up with our center punch marks. Lay some welds. Got it welded all the way around. Those welds look actually pretty darn decent. What do you think? Not too snippy. Got plenty of penetration We're going to hit that with a grinder, clean it up, and then we're going to step it out. Weld up here, weld down there, and fill them in. So 2 welds on this next time around, and then probably 4 on the next one. 3, 4 on the next one. There it is. It's all welded up. That's our bottom anvil. We just got to make another one for the top, about half its height, because I want a good amount of travel. That way I can compress some big stock if I need to. But yeah, she's welded up. Now on to the guide plate. We got to get that wedge off that guide plate so we can adapt. We can modify that to adapt the top anvil to when we make it. Okay. The guide plate that rides up and down the beam, the ram's attached to. The ram attaches to that right there. We need to get this whole piece off of this plate, because we need this plate, but we don't need this. And this welded on there pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cutting torch. We're going to cut this off here, and then we're going to grind it clean. Okay. Get it all nice and cleaned up, because we got to do some modifications and weld some stuff to it, to weld the top press die to it, and so on and so forth. So it's gonna be fun. A lot of cutting. I suggest if you're gonna use a cutting torch, do it safely. Wear protective clothing, some leathers, protective eyewear. It's bright, it's hot. You catch stuff on fire. Just be cautious. So we got it cut off there with the torch. Now we just got to take the grinder and grind it and clean it up, get it smoothed back out. Got some more cutting to do with a cutting wheel because it's kind of thick. We're going to try and cut that down as far as possible before we hit it with the grinder. So let's take the cutting wheel, we'll cut it down, then we'll start grinding it, and I'll show you when I'm done. Alright. Cutting some dies now for the I'm going to cut some rounding dies or drawing dies to press. All my dies are going to be made out of the railroad track, I think, for now. So I got a piece in there. We're cutting 2 6-inch dies off of it, letting that get cut. Then we're going to get on. We're going to go back to the anvils that we made for the top and the bottom for the ram and the base of the press, and we're going to show you how we're going to make these dies interchangeable. All right, now it's time to show you how we're going to make our dies interchangeable. As you can see, we've got our 2 anvils made here. They're ready to go. Smaller one, a little bit taller one. They're about 1 inch difference in height. I want plenty of clearance between the dies. I got the railroad cut. Got one more to cut real quick. That's going to be a rounding die, but we're going to base our dimensions off of this, because the other dies that I can do for this thing, I will make, like fullering dies and things like that. I can make and just make a plate that fits in this system we're getting ready to build. But I gotta add that I got a nice little piece of advice from Mr. Alan Schooner. He told me to put my dies at a 45-degree angle to the beam. That way I can pass through the longer material, and it makes perfect sense. Because if I put it square like so, the beam's right here, I wouldn't be able to go but so far, and I'd hit that beam. By putting it at a 45, I can go as far as I want, so I can draw out good long bars of steel doing it that way. So thank you, Alan. That was an excellent tip, and I'm going to go with that. So what I've fashioned up here is a way to, we got to fabricate it, of course, but in my head, this is how it's going to work. Okay. I've got one in the drill vise already, so. But these lines here, that's the perimeter of our railroad spike. I've got it center punched where it goes, or not the railroad spike, railroad track for the die. That's where those 2 are going to go. And then this one right here is just going to be a backstop, welded all the way around. That way when I slide it in there, it can't go but so far. Then these will be welded on top like so. Okay, and make a little track down there. That way I can just use what I know I've got, this 1/2-inch plate, and that could be the base for my dies. And then I can put tool steel on them for the dies. But the 1/2-inch plate could be the part that slides in there. But not only are we going to do that, we've got them center punched here, you see. we're going to drill holes in all 4 of them, because I've got 2 sets of these, one for each side, of course. We're going to drill holes in them and tap them to fit these bolts. That way I can tighten that bolt down. Essentially, this sits in here like that. This is on top of that. Right there. I can just crank that bolt down, tighten it in place so it doesn't move. Hit them on both sides. I'm going to put 4 bolts in it. May not need all 4, but I'm going to put them in there anyways. Got to have a nice tap and die set. Doesn't have to be nice, just needs to be a functional tap and die set to do this. We've got our tap here. Drill. First thing we're going to do, we're going to go to the vise, or drill press vise, and we are going to start drilling. Now we need this, and some oil just to help bring out the shavings and stuff when you're cutting the threads. Lock that up in there, pinch it, tighten both sides. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Squirt you a little bit just on the tip of your tap. Tip tap. You want to go in there, start slow, keeping it straight. Once it grabs, you'll know it, but you want to go slow, and eventually it will go all the way through. And once it spins freely in and out, you've got your threads, okay? Every so often, back it up. See the shavings pop out of there? That helps clear the way so you can cut cleaner. Watch them. See them shavings come up out of there? Ain't done yet, folks. You don't want to have to force it, because it'll snap that tap off in there. And if you've got a tap and die set, you know that they're not cheap. See how it's all the way through now? We've got whole threads in that hole now. And if we did this correctly, it ought to thread right in there. And there it is. We'll do all 4 of them like that, and then we'll be back, because I got to get them tapped and everything before we weld them up. So we're going to do all 4 of these like that before we bring it back. Got our pieces, all of them ready to go, so we're going to go ahead and weld our half-inch square bar. Weld it right on that line. Set this one right here just to keep it like it should be. Set that right there. Load it down. Welds don't look too bad. Alright, now we're going to go and do some fill-in weld there because I want to sturdy that up really well. I can't weld on the inside there because I got to be able to let the dies slide in there cleanly. You know, so I got to be able to pass through, and then essentially that right there, you just tighten it down. Can't move. So let's get this other side on there, and then we'll go and do some filler passes and get it done up, and then we'll get this back piece on. Okay, it's in there. Bolts are tightened down. Loosen them up. And they'll come right out. I'll keep a ratchet just for the press now, just to quick change these. But you know, loosen them up. They slide right through. Okay. They don't have to all be railroad track dies. Can make them out of anything as long as it's got a 1/2 inch thick plate for the base of the die to slide in to lock into this. Then I can weld tool steel, different shapes, fullers, whatever. You know, but I had railroad track laying around. Speaking of laying around, I've got a few other pieces of it. If anybody needs some railroad track, let me know. One of the subscribers, Buddy Bell, hooked me up with a few pieces of railroad track and told him I'd use some of it and give some of it away. So I'm using some of that railroad track, Buddy Bell. Thank you very much. I've got another piece about 18 inches long or so from him that's up for grabs. Somebody wants to pay the shipping on it. But anyways, we got it in there. We got it set on our line. Now we'll take our stop piece right there, weld that in, do some nice fill in all this right here, and the die will be ready to go to the press. Then we'll just have to do the other one. Alright guys, alright. That's ready. It's ready to go on the press. Got the other one to do. You've seen the process. We're not going to throw that on the video, but we're going to knock that out. Also, remember that we cut that off with the torch, brought it in, hit it with the grinder, got it cleaned back up. This we have to reassemble back to the press before we do anything else with it, because we have to get the dies onto the ram and have it come down and find out where this bottom die has to sit. And once we get it all exactly where we need, we got to take some pieces of we're going to use some of this extra 4-inch wall tubing, cut a couple pieces, weld them to that, and they will marry up to the side of the ram, the die that's attached to the ram. That way it guides it nice and straight and keeps it true to come down and meet with the bottom die every time. So that'll happen in the next video once we start assembling the press, because we're almost there, folks. Almost there. Once we finish this die, this one's ready. We can go to the press, assemble this, and hook the ram up. We'll be good to go. We're going to test it out, run it for a little bit with the gas motor, see how it does. But we are going to be switching over to electric. I just got to get the coupler for it. So for now, we're going to call this one here. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate all the support. It won't be long now. We'll have a suppress going, and we'll be really knocking stuff out and having some fun, guys. So thanks for coming along with me. I really appreciate it. And we're going to catch you on the next one.